Hi, thank you for being with us today. This is our third episode for our suicide awareness shows that we're doing in our show Gateway of Hope. Today, our sister Denice Ponce is going to be sharing her testimony. Sister Denice?
Hi, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Tina and thank you to you, Daniela, for having me on. And
Thank
it's always a blessing. Amen.
you,
So
man.
yeah, it's a blessing to be on the program.
It's a blessing to have you. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you know what? I hope that it goes through because I know my reception is kind of bad here. But anyway, I just want to go ahead and give a little testimony. I talked with Tina and she asked me if I would come on the show and I said yes, of course. And so I'm really grateful for this show. I think it's very well needed. And I just want to go ahead. I'll get into my testimony, but I was thinking about the name of your show here is Gateway of Hopes and Suicide
Yeah.
Awareness. And so I thought that was just amazing how God put this in Tina's heart to do this program. And so once she asked me, I've had many testimonies, and this was one of the probably the biggest testimony for me is when I tried to commit suicide. And so I'm I'm familiar with this subject. I actually tried to commit suicide. My husband, Dennis, and I, when we got together, he had tried to, and it just didn't happen. And to have met him and I heard his testimony, it just really amazed me that God would bring two broken people together and heal us together. Story is let's get right into it because I don't have time. I'm going to try to hit what God has placed in my heart. That in my early 20s, maybe it's been a while. I wanted to commit suicide, and I think I was just in a bad place. I was in a dark place in my life. I didn't know Jesus. I didn't have a relationship with God, and so with that, I was just in a dark place in my life, and I did try to commit suicide. I tried to commit suicide maybe not once, twice, but three times, and so I'm gonna just jump right into it. Because of the situation that happened to me, I didn't know the Lord. I had accepted the Lord probably in 79, 80, but I didn't have a relationship with him. And so I got myself caught up in many different relationships and having my two daughters, one I was 17 and the other one years apart. And so I have my second daughter. And after having my second daughter is when I wanted to commit suicide. I was living in um, in a relationship that was very abusive. And if you ever look up the suicide, the facts about suicide, it is so true because people tend to want to commit suicide for various reasons. It could be in a relationship, it could be something that's gone on in their life, abuse. Maybe it's a financial situation. There's different reasons why people would even want to commit suicide. In my time of my suicide attempt, I did not only try to kill myself, but I also tried to kill both my daughters. I had two daughters, and that day I remember just crying. My boyfriend had broke up with me, and I really feel like at that time that I was heartbroken. You know, a lot of people don't really understand that place when you're heartbroken. My spirit was broken, my soul, everything. I was just so broken and lost. And when he broke up with me, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. Didn't have that relationship with God. But I remember at that time I tried to have a relationship, and I remember that being in my house, and I closed up all my windows. I closed my screens. Oh, I want to cry. I'm sorry
It's okay.
because it's real, and it's
It
so
is.
real.
And,
And
there's the pain you were in to even attempt it, it hurts.
and I think how selfish someone is. You know, I thought because I love my girls so much that I would take them with me. You know, like when we have our children, we think that nobody's gonna love our children the way we love them. And so I
Yeah.
thought because of my situation, that I would take my girls with me. And it could seem like right now that the tears that I cry is for the memories, but I'm so grateful. The tears that I cry, I'm so grateful that God didn't allow it to happen.
Amen.
So when I was done and I was in the house and I closed all the windows and I got a pillow. See, I never really wanted to hurt myself. I just wanted to sleep. I didn't want to live anymore. And I was in
Right.
my maybe middle 20s. I was still real young. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to live.
Yeah.
And I remember going in and closing the doors and closing the blinds and closing the windows. And I got my two daughters. They were so beautiful little girls. And I got my daughters and I went into the kitchen and I put a pillow on the floor and I was just tired. I just wanted to sleep and not wake up. And I turned on the gas, I turned the pilot, and I turned off the fire, the flames, and I just turned the pilot on. And I opened it up. I don't know if that would have, if it would have killed me. I don't know. Is this something I thought because I've seen it or I've heard it? I don't know. And
Yeah.
so I turned the gas on and I went to lay on the floor and I got my two girls and literally they were in my arms and I was just crying. My TV went on. My TV was on. I would leave this TV on, and back in those days, I didn't have cable, but my TV was making all kinds of different noises, and there was static on my TV, and TBN was on at that time. Jan Crouch. I don't know. Maybe some people know who she is, but I would keep it on a Christian station. I was really crying out to God a lot around that time, and I could hear her voice, but yet I was still laying there and the gas was on. I could smell the gas. I just wanted to go to sleep, and then all of a sudden, I just know this, and through all my trials and testings and tribulations, that there is a God. When God has a
Amen.
plan for you, He's not going to allow these things to happen. And somebody started knocking at my door. I wasn't expecting anybody. I was totally by myself. I had nowhere to go, no one to turn to, and I was crying out to God and somebody was knocking on my door. I wasn't going to get up off the floor because I was embarrassed that I was on the floor and the gas is on and they kept banging, banging, banging on the door. So I got up and I said, "Oh, like who's that?" Well, it turned out to be my daughter's grandmother was knocking at the door, and I believe that God sent her there at that moment and at that time to wake me
Yeah.
up because I knew that she loved my granddaughter. She loved her children, and I opened the door and I said, Felicia, her name was Felicia. I go, "What are you doing here?" She goes, "Oh, I came to see the babies. I want to see my baby." And I said, "Oh no!" And then she like kind of just opened in, and then and when she opened the door, she said, "Oh," she goes, "It smells like gas in here. Open the windows. What are you doing? Don't you smell the gas?" And I said, "Yeah, I smell the gas," but I didn't tell her what I was doing. She had no idea. I ran in there and she got one of my daughters and she picked her up and I ran in the kitchen. I just got the pillow and I threw the pillow aside. And I say this because I literally wanted to die. And I think how selfish that I was willing to take my daughters with me and thinking that I loved them. And later I found out that that wasn't love at all, that I was being very selfish. And I think where would I have been or what would I have done if it would have happened? And so, I say this because I know that there's many suicides in today's generation, many, many, many. Statistics say that there's like maybe there was like 49,000, maybe 400 and something deaths in suicide, and that was 2 years ago. And I
Yeah.
really believe that it has doubled.
Oh yeah.
I had a close friend that committed suicide. She shot herself in the head and she committed suicide. And it was behind somebody in a relationship. It was behind a relationship that they stopped wanting to be with her. And I felt like because of a relationship, because of a love, and I was tossed like trash. I felt like I was just being trashed and thrown out like trash. And so I had all these things. But when you think about it, and this program that you have, Gateway of Hope, of suicide awareness, I'm familiar that September and October is a great time of suicide awareness. And there's many people, even right now as I'm speaking, they say every 11 minutes somebody is committing suicide. But I
Yeah.
just think how great my God, and I would say our God, because many people that commit suicide don't know God. I didn't know God, but I had um a belief in God because I was crying out to him. I was crying out, constantly crying out. I wanted out. I wanted just to get out of this mess. And so when I think about it, suicide is real. You know, this is a real thing. This is a real subject that is so important. And I had a cousin. This is not something that I just make up, or, oh, you know, I know how you feel. People don't really know how people feel unless they've done it or if they've gone through it. I had a cousin that probably, he was 16 years old. He committed suicide, hung himself in the closet, you know, out of